In our previous video, we introduced all of our functions, both manifest and latent, and rounded off our discussion about our manifest function, namely advocacy. As the Second World War drew to a close, our founders were encouraged by the Government of Canada to create a non-profit association whose leaders and members promised to actively participate in public discourse, the aim of which would be to help inform elected officials of their country's air force's needs, and those of the future domestic aerospace industry. This was our association's manifest function, and some aspects of it are reflected in Figure 1, found in our most informative member booklet. We still have hundreds of copies to distribute. If you would like one of these booklets, please don't hesitate to call us toll-free at 1-866-351-2322 or write to kitshop@airforce.ca. Your help with shipping and handling costs will be appreciated. The figure in the booklet shows RCAF Association members, men and women, mingling with aerospace industry representatives at an aircraft production and test facility, while one acting as chairperson of the Aviation Advocacy Committee presents a position paper prepared by the committee to an accompanying elected official. The figure is surrounded by value badges to suggest how some RCAF Association members appear to benefit from such work, and how other stakeholders similarly benefit. We know of these values only because over the years many members have shared testimonials with us, telling us how important is the work we do. A member's story informs our studies and helps shape expression of our sentiments and concerns. For whom do we do such things? We do it for our stakeholders. Associations need members to thrive. Members flock to the association only when what the association does is of value to them. Members and prospective members constantly ask themselves two questions: what's in it for me? And what's in it for the good of the order? The phrase good of the order is just another way of referring to the cause or purpose to which the association devotes itself. Finally, the legitimacy and reputation of the association are of paramount importance to members mulling over whether to stay or go, and to prospective members confronting the decision to affiliate or not. Most importantly, the reputation of the association is something only members can shape, while the legitimacy of the association is something shaped primarily by non-members. If the general public sees no need for the association, then it has no legitimacy. All of this talk brings us to the subject of stakeholders. Stakeholders are those, members and non-members alike, who may be impacted by the actions of the association or whose actions themselves may have an impact on the association. There are a myriad of stakeholders affiliated with any and all organizations, and stakeholders are a big part of the business ecosystem within which the association both competes and thrives. In the nonprofit sector, associations do not necessarily compete with each other as much as they compete for the attention of and funding from the same sources. One look at many of the various stakeholders in the second ring of RCAF Association's business ecosystem and stakeholder value map, and it should be obvious how some will take up activities that do indeed compete with RCAF Association activities for attention and funding. You may want to believe ANAVETS or the Royal Canadian Legion do not compete with the RCAF Association, but they do indeed compete in the sense the decision one person makes to affiliate not with the RCAF Association but with the Royal Canadian Legion instead is a sign of competition that the RCAF Association is not winning. This is precisely what is happening amongst those business-oriented wings in which associate or social members have been invited to join. These non-members compete with the RCAF Association. Oddly enough, it is clear the RCAF Association never intended for its own wings to be a source of competition, but that is the dilemma that we face today. How do our stakeholders benefit from what we do? Our collective and individual efforts are expressed through wings or branches at the grassroots level, as well as through individual RCAF Association members, either at large or through those who may also be affiliated with a local wing, but pursue expressions of advocacy on their own. When we refer to wings, we are referring only to RCAF Association members, people in groups of 25 or more regular members of the RCAF Association who, having already chosen to join the RCAF Association, have also chosen to apply as a group for an RCAF Association charter. A charter is a document that aims to outline accountabilities and responsibilities ascribed to these individuals as an organized group within the RCAF Association. The RCAF Association issued charter is not a business license, nor is it to be confused with articles of incorporation. Should these RCAF Association chartered members choose collectively to also invest in activities that either require assets or generate assets, such as buildings, venues, a bar, and other hospitality providing facilities, since the RCAF Association Directors and Officers Insurance cannot cover such asset-generating activities, and the RCAF Association charter does not serve as a license in any way, shape, or form, such groups of RCAF Association chartered members are mandated to secure provincial incorporation, small business licenses for the protection of the business-focused members involved and for the protection of those assets. These incorporated licensed entities are, by the exigencies of Article 2:17(2)(3) of the RCAF Association Constitution and Bylaws, undertaking asset-generating activities that are beyond the scope of the RCAF Association, which means any and all parts of their Constitution and bylaws referring to such activities are not to be overseen nor administered to by the leadership and members of the RCAF Association in any formal way. Referring to these hospitality-focused business entities as wings is confusing because we, the RCAF Association, have already explained the term wings refers only to people. Consequently, it is more helpful to refer to these business entities and their related activities as being those of the social club rather than a wing per se. This terminology is employed in many provinces for such purposes. Finally, since these social clubs may include other assets such as members who are not also members of the RCAF Association, it is essential for these social clubs to incorporate into their governance processes the means and methods that will permit the participation of such non-RCAF Association members in all the governing affairs of the business-focused social club. To bar them from governance processes would be a violation of applicable federal and provincial statutes, which have evolved a great deal since the early 1970s. At the time of writing, a number of wings with business enterprises actively discriminate against their social club members, barring them from serving in office or voting based not on regulations developed solely by the business entity, but based on the unfortunate mistaken application of the RCAF Association Constitution, erroneously applied by some of the more entrepreneurial RCAF Association wing members, who were largely unaware of the nature of the problem. This must come to an end, because the RCAF Association Constitution and Bylaws strictly prohibits the association and its members from having any say in such business matters. Most of our wings look to a group for administrative support and assistance. Only a very few wings look toward the RCAF Association headquarters for such help, these being wings that do not fall into geographical regions that service wings in their regions. Previous iterations of the booklet that we've referred to described governance levels in the RCAF Association in terms of a hierarchy, as a federation of wings controlled by groups, which in turn are guided by the National Executive Council, now known as the RCAF Association Board of Directors. These hierarchy references were drawn up in the early 1960s, reflecting best business practices of the mid-20th century, post-Second World War period. Regrettably, the best business literature had already begun to discredit hierarchies as an organizational form by 1966. Today, the hierarchy is recognized as the most outdated, ill-conceived, and most ineffective organizational construct going, especially for organizations like ours. In fact, the RCAF Association structure places group presidents on the National Board of Directors, a structural attribute that clearly shows the RCAF Association is much, much flatter than a three-tiered hierarchy would suggest. Hierarchies are synonymous with organization charts, and organization charts are renowned not for the little boxes filled only with the names of supposedly the most important people. No, they are renowned more so for the empty white space and the derogatory treatment of members' empty white space connotes. Additionally, an adherence to the hierarchy forces people to believe when they succeed those who have gone before them, their primary job is to fit right into the organization chart box vacated by their successor, only to do exactly the same thing as the successor did. Insanity we now know to mean doing the same thing over and over and believing a different outcome will result. Decades of inattention to these realities have hurt the RCAF Association greatly, and it is well past the time that leaders come to terms with these realities. The essence of the foregoing structural arguments shines a light on the importance of democratic principles reflected in the figure in the booklet that describes our latent function of democracy.